How do you read ingredient labels? For this section, you may want to grab a pen and paper because there is a lot of information. Let's start with the US example to walk through the Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act. This law, if you recall, requires that all food labels in the US list their ingredients that may cause allergic reactions for the top foods. This is a visual, and as of 2021, the top 8 allergens are required, but sesame will enter the mix in 2023, as it was passed in 2021 as a law. There are 3 ways that food manufacturers can choose to label clearly and transparently. Using the common name of the top allergen, for example, milk. The second way is for them to use contains and the allergen, example, contains milk. And the third way is listing it after a lesser known component of the allergen, one of the hidden ingredients, for example, whey protein. But then they have to disclaim in parentheses, we mean milk. You're used to seeing nutrition facts on food manufacturer labels. What you might not have paid attention to are the little details within the ingredients. But these are some examples where you can see the practice required by law, by the Food and Drug Administration, and how it may appear. So in this example of a macaroni and cheese box, organic wheat flour is disclaimed, milk, whey, but whey is less obvious. So if milk didn't show up, it would still need to say contains wheat and milk ingredients. Unfortunately, what is not required by law are the precautionary language. And when we say precautionary language, this is listed below the list of ingredients, and it's entirely optional. So you may find that there's this lack of regulation and therefore inconsistencies amongst manufacturers. This is entirely self-regulated. And here are a couple of examples you can see. So the examples that we're showing are very much requiring the consumer to do their own investigating. I would say the more common examples may include contains traces of eggs, manufactured on shared equipment such as, and then listing the food allergens, manufactured in a facility that also processes, or it may be a marketing tactic to say peanut-free, egg-free, and that's fine, but you might want to not just trust exactly what the box says, because sometimes there are rooms for error. When this is a self-regulated part of the industry, your comfort level will vary based on the language. Your best bet is to consider contacting the manufacturer for new foods that you want to try, and this will help directly give you the information to check that understanding. And you can also get this information from online social groups that you're a part of within a food allergy community. The ingredients, the shared production lines, and the manufacturing operating practices very much could change without warning. We have had in our family some examples where labels that have been the same for many years have changed, and we've barely caught them because we're so used to eating it. Remember that each country has their own food laws and regulatory bodies. You need to do your homework ahead of time to understand the origin of where the food is manufactured, if you're unclear of the food label transparency for the ingredients. So what about the hidden ingredients? Did you know that milk has 115 other ingredient names besides milk. The FDA requires sesame to be labeled as an ingredient effective 2023. So this will help with no more spice or natural flavoring for sesame. But there are other foods like mustard or even celery, both seeds, that hide in the spices or the natural flavorings. This can be really challenging. Reading labels is a learned skill. It takes practice. It seems straightforward to protect a person by just using your knowledge to how to read an ingredient. But these hidden ingredients really throw a curveball. And sometimes these unfamiliar and alternative names, like casein for milk, are unfamiliar. I'm including in this course a downloadable spreadsheet. It has over 500 hidden names of the top 9 food allergens as listed by the FDA in the US. Make sure to download it and take those extra precautions. Read it before you eat it. Remember the 3 Ps. Purchase. Know how to read the label when you're at the grocery store or you're purchasing your food wherever you're getting it from, online or having it delivered. Always know how to read a label and teach others around you if they're shopping for you. Number 2, put away. So it's important to know when you purchase the food that you read the label, but when you put it away in your pantry or your refrigerator, consider putting a sticker or labeling safe food for easy recognition, especially if a child is young. But even for adults, it might just be one more way to delineate what is safe. If you don't mark it, just make sure to check it when you're putting it away. As you prepare the food, that's your third way. That's the 3rd P. Ingredients definitely can be tricky, so triple check. This will help you keep safety top of mind. Lastly, here are some helpful tips for reading ingredient labels confidently. The first is learning the names of the alternate foods will be very helpful. It may take some time, so you can print out your list and hang it in a place where you can see it as you put your food away. That's really helpful. Number 2 is that give yourself a little bit of room to adjust your eyes. It does take practice. You have to look past that ingredient box and below it where that precautionary language may be. But remember, it can be optionally listed anywhere, and it is unregulated. So you need to proceed with caution. Which leads to the 3rd tip, and that is when in doubt, call or email the manufacturer for assurance. This is going to be your best bet. Oftentimes, large manufacturers have consumer affairs departments that are well accustomed to these requests. Don't be shy or feel like you're bothering the company or this is too tedious of a responsibility. Safety is worth it. It's also in the company's best interest to keep their customers safe. They have their brand reputation and their company's integrity to protect, but they're also very concerned about keeping you safe. Number 4 is find social media groups so that you can gain the wisdom of the crowds approach and leverage the community who has likely done their homework or is relying on the community as a whole to get better together. So there are many people who will post pictures after they have reached out to manufacturers with the responses back so that you can get a visual on what foods you could possibly try that you weren't even considering, or just affirmation on what's safe that you didn't know about. These helpful food allergy groups are very important for the group mentality of feeling that support, lack of isolation, just to make sure that you know you're not alone. But in addition, there are very good practical tips that are included. And when you are in good company, it really does help multiply those label investigators out there so you don't have to do all the heavy lifting and all the work. Lastly, number 5, remember to check where a food is manufactured, as the laws do vary country to country. So if it's an imported food, realize that it may be harder to track down the safety protocols used, and this might require a little bit more investigation. So be aware before you take the risks. A bonus tip, if you stick to fewer ingredients or whole foods, pretty much think of the food pyramid or your basic categories of whole foods, this will definitely help you minimize the potential risks for those hidden names, extra ingredients, and precautionary language used in processed foods. Overall, when we know better, we do better. And that is the message here. The power is in each of our hands to take back some of this control in food safety, and it isn't as evident as we would like. But we can take little wins and feel more and more confident with safety as we go and eat good meals and help navigate where we need to get food from and how to shop.